Cops don't like me, so I don't like cops.
Badges don't grant extra rights. This is Cop Block Radio on the FPRN Radio Network. Here are your hosts, Eric, Adam, and Scott.
Everybody, the Cop Block Radio Show for November 13th, 2013. With me tonight, I have Scott, because Adam is driving, I think.
He's working on it.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll be here soon.
Yeah, we talked to him a little bit earlier today, and he was like, I'm gonna try. I'll be there. Blah 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 blah. But he was out. Some people just weren't cut out for life on the road.
Well, he's been driving around for a while, and he gave me a call when he was in Salt Lake. The first time he was going from his abode somewhere in Spokane, and then he hit Salt Lake. He called me while I was in Salt Lake because no one was there, and he was wanting to get out and doing some cop blocking, but couldn't find anybody. And then he went down, he headed down to Vegas for a while and hung out with Kelly. And then now he's on his way back to Salt Lake. So hopefully he'll get to Salt Lake sometime soon so he can get onto the show.
Yeah, it sounded like he was, had a lot of aspirations of greatness while he was down there. But, it sounded like it was going pretty good whenever I had heard from him. So hopefully he's got some good footage and some good interviews. I know he was going to try to get some interviews with some people.
Yeah, and last night I was on Peace News Now for a segment with Derek J. So that was fun.
How'd that go?
Good. I had put out an event to do a 91A writing party, and 91A is the state's right to know law. So we just call them 91A requests. So he wanted to talk about that just because it's one of those things with activists. If you don't schedule it, then no one does it. So we're always like, oh, we should 91A this, we should 91A that, and we never end up getting written up. So now we're just going to get together, a bunch of us, write up all these requests and get them submitted.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you have a good turnout? Or do you think it was successful?
Actually, we're doing it tomorrow. So he saw the event was scheduled here in Keene. Okay. We'll see.
It was like, hey, check this out. You should come and join us.
Yep. So so far 7 people said they're going to come, and we'll be writing requests like crazy. And I'm sure they're going to deny a bunch of them, but hey, you never know. Yeah. Denial's even a good thing, because then you know that they're trying to hide something. So
I'm telling you, man, I did some some activism in DC, and it was like, oh man, all these people are going to be here, and like, you'd be surprised how many people say they're going to be there, but it's just like this gigantic snowball effect. Like, oh, wow, look, all these people are going to be there. That should be cool. And then you show up, and you're just like, wow, where is everyone?
Except here. People show up here.
I know, and I wish it was contagious, man.
So if 7 people say they're going, probably 6 are at least going to show up. So
I was actually figuring for like 7 people would say they were showing, 6 of those people would show up, but 4 of them would also bring friends.
Right. So yeah, that tends to be the case at a lot of things around here. That says that only 10 people are showing up, but when we get there, there's like 50.
Yeah, I know. Bastards.
Yeah. So, since we do this show live, you can call in and talk about what's going on in your neck of the woods. And Scott, why don't you give that out?
Because I will give it out. I was waiting patiently for you to say something. So, we have 2 ways to get a hold of us. You can call in on your phone at 567-314-9296. The passcode is 1234 and then the pound sign, or the preferred method is on Skype. And our Skype is at FPRN Radio Live. Yeah, Skype us at FPRN Radio Live. And add us, we'll add you back, and you can talk to our producer and tell him how great we are, and then we'll get you on the show.
Yeah, and if you're listening to the show live, at the live chat, there is a little handy dandy Skype button right above the chat window, so you can just click that and it'll direct you right in. So that's good. All right, so you what? You just tried it?
That damn Skype button. I fell for it. Those guys are good, man. Those guys are good.
So hopefully this gets queued up in a second, but last week we were talking about the police down in, I believe, was it New Mexico or Arizona?
No, it was definitely New Mexico.
New Mexico, who decided to give 8 free colonoscopies to one single person because they ran a stop sign. And that was just crazy. Yeah. They brought him to the hospital and they probed him and then gave him a full-on colonoscopy where they knocked him out and not they punched him out, but they sedated him and did all these procedures on him.
Anesthetized. Is that it? Anesthetized.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, man, did that. Look at that. Use that in Words with Friends.
So it sounds like a few things have happened since then, and now there is an update. So if we can play that clip. Or not play that clip.
Sorry, I'm like, I was like holding the cough back.
In New Mexico violated the body of a driver multiple times, all because he ran a stop sign. But there's even more to this investigation.
And tonight there's another driver who says the story is horribly familiar.
Is law enforcement in one community going way too far?
It's a story that has left the entire country wondering about the state of law enforcement in New Mexico. 4 on Your Side revealed how David Eckert rolled through a stop sign in Deming. A canine named Leo alerted that it sniffed drugs on Eckert's driver's seat. And for the next 14 hours, those police officers and doctors at the Gila Regional Medical Center performed 8 medical procedures, including x-rays, rectal finger exams, enemas, and finally a colonoscopy. According to a federal lawsuit, officers Bobby Orozco and Robert Chavez were 2 of the officers involved, and they never found drugs inside Eckert.
He's living in a community where police are able to harass people traveling through this community and people who live there, basically unchecked.
Our investigation reveals another chapter. Another man, another minor traffic violation, another incident with Leo the canine, and another violation of a man's body.
This is dashcam video from the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office in Lordsburg. Police reports state deputies stopped Timothy Young because he turned without putting his blinker on. Again, Leo the canine alerts on Young's seat. Young is taken to the Gila Regional Medical Center in Silver City, and just like Eckert, he's subjected to medical procedures, including x-rays of his stomach and an anal exam. Again, police found nothing, and again, the procedures were done without consent and in a county not covered by the search warrant.
And we've learned more about that drug dog, Leo, who just seems to get it wrong all the time, and he might be getting it wrong because he's not even certified in New Mexico.
Take a look at the dog certification. The dog did get trained, but his certification to be a drug dog expired in April 2012. Canines need yearly recertification courses, and Leo is falling behind.
We have done public records requests to try to find anything we can to show that this dog had ever been trained. And we have evidence this dog has had false alerts in the past.
One last thing to tell you about, all these doctors at the Gila Regional Medical Center, well, they've been turned over to a state licensing board, so it's possible that they may lose their license to practice medicine. And as for all these police officers, well, they're going to be answering to a state certification board as well. Chris Ramirez, 4 on Your Side.
The thing that sucks about that, though, if the people at the hospital lose their license, and they don't have as good of the union as the law enforcement officers do. So if they get fired, they'll probably get back onto the police work soon, and the people who lose their licenses are screwed for like ever.
So the police are going to have to go against like a review board or something. Like, these people should be in front of a firing or a rape squad. Like, okay, we figured out that you fucked up. Now you are going to be sodomized.
Right. They should have criminal charges, not just
Absolutely,
going to a review board. Fuck that.
Like, I feel so bad for these people. Like, getting beat up sucks. Getting shot sucks. But, like, man, I'd rather be beat up than raped. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this is where
I'm not surprised by any of this, and I'm not surprised that there was 3 instances in 2 weeks, because there was another one of a woman.
Yeah, I think there's a 4th one that's come out since then too. But I mean, this kind of shows the state of why are you using dogs to enforce? Well, 1, why are you enforcing drug laws to begin with? But 2, why are you using an animal who obviously can't get it right anyways to do this type of thing? We all know that drug dogs are such a load of crap because they false hit so often.
Well, it's not a false hit because they're being told to hit on it.
Right. Well,
so they're just doing what they're told.
Right. Exactly. So it's complete bullcrap, but that just begs the higher level is why do we have all these stupid drug laws to begin with? Right. It's such a waste of time.
Another good point that was brought up was, what about the fact that this is a sexual crime? This is sexual assault. This is rape. These people should be put on a sex offenders list because what the offense that they have done is a sex crime.
Definitely.
They should have to go around and tell their neighbors, hey, I forced something up a man's rectum. And yes, I should no longer be a doctor, or yes, I should no longer be a guy with a badge.
Right. Well, we were talking about this last week, and they had gone to some medical establishment, and they refused to do what the police did. So they refused to do what the police wanted them to, and they took him to a different hospital. So it's like, at least somebody got it right, but when mommy said no, they asked daddy and got the okay.
I mean, whenever I was a kid, it was like, hey, I would ask my mom, hey, dad said it's okay with him if it's okay with you. Okay, it's okay with him. Okay, well, hey, dad, mom said it's okay with her if it's okay with you. Like, it's the same damn thing. It's unreal. Right. Where's the ACLU on all this shit?
I don't know. I thought I saw them on. Oh no, it was a different topic.
Everybody hates the ACLU until their civil rights are infringed upon.
Yeah, I wish the ACLU was better on gun rights though. If they added gun rights in there, then I could totally get behind pretty much everything that they do, almost everything. But yeah, I haven't seen them on this yet, but. There's lawsuits pending, so it will be an interesting one to watch, especially now that this one's gone so big and it seems like they are coming out of the woodwork. That's what kind of sucks about a lot of this. Like, you don't know how many are going on until somebody finally comes public, and then it's kind of like a landslide after that. Because no one wants to be the first one to expose it. Especially if they're the victim, because then they might just get victimized again.
Think about the Sandusky case. The exact same thing. It took one person to stand up, and then it was like, oh, holy shit, there's 20 people.
Right, exactly. So that kind of sucks.
Okay.
But,
sorry, my freaking, my trained attack dog came in, and it has a tick or something in its ear, so I'm freaking out about that.
Nice.
Interrupts everything. And the other thing is who's covering this? This is gigantic.
What do you mean?
Is is any is anybody major network wise covering this?
Beyond the local news, I haven't really heard anything. I mean, this was out of was it NBC, the local affiliate in the area, but that's it.
Yeah, nothing like on the national C-SPAN or any.
I don't know. I don't even pay attention to the national guys anymore. I actually don't even really pay. I don't even pay attention to the news. I just, if it's in my news feed, then I'll read it.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
I like it when people like at work on like Monday morning or whatever. There's like special days of the week. Oh, I'll go home and watch this show, and I'm just like, oh, did you see it? I'm like, I don't watch TV.
Right. I subscribe to the people who are going to get me the news I'm actually looking for.
Yeah.
And then I just read that stuff. But like, I don't go to CNN or something. I used to, but I don't anymore. It's too depressing. Though this is pretty fucking depressing too.
Yeah, this sucks.
All right, so I think we can move on from that one. If anybody has anything to add, they can call in.
I'm over it.
Yeah. So I think we might as well just go down the list. So this is an interesting clip once you hear it. It's about jury nullification, and it's starting to get out a little farther reach than its current established. So if we can play clip number 1.
Chuck. Yep. Thanks to you, Liz. Thanks, Tuck. Well, some judges and prosecutors in D.C. are reportedly asking potential jurors an unusual question. Have you seen the billboards about jury nullification? The billboards in question have sprung up in and around metro stations. Here's one of them. They're close to downtown courts, so put in very interesting situations, or positions, I should say. They carry messages such as good jurors nullify bad laws. So where do the ads come from, and what's behind it? Joining us now via Skype from Philadelphia is juror rights activist James Babb, and he spearheaded the fundraising campaign for the billboards you see in D.C. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
I'm happy that you're joining us because we want to know all about these billboards. They seem to just spring up overnight, but what's the intent behind them?
Well, I want people to know about jury nullification. And jury nullification is the centuries-old tradition that's a part of our legal system where jurors have the right to judge the law itself, not just the facts of the case. This is a centuries-old tradition that has played key roles throughout history, including William Penn used jury nullification when he was charged with speaking to a group of Quakers without permission. The jury refused to convict him because they knew the law was wrong. In 1860, the Fugitive Slave Act made it a crime to harbor fugitive slaves. Jurors refused to convict people for that because the law was wrong. Today, people are using jury nullification to protest the insane war on drugs and a host of other victimless crimes that pollute our justice system.
Why have you chosen D.C.? What sort of cities did you choose, and what's the reason basically behind a big city like the district?
Well, D.C. is the nation's capital. It's a great place to launch a campaign like this. Other cities are also going to be involved, including New York, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Boston are in the works. But D.C. was a great place to try this out and to see what kind of interest there would be.
Mr. Babb, you cited some historical events and that this is, as you said, a centuries-old practice. I got to ask you this question, though. Is this really legal? And if it were, would the judge in these different cases not say that this is an option for you as a juror?
Well, it is absolutely legal, and the Supreme Court has ruled on it. It's actually... This right is enshrined in many state constitutions, including Maryland, New Jersey, and many other states. This is something that is long established. However, prosecutors don't want the juries to know about it. They want convictions. They have done quite a bit to make sure that juries stay uninformed. So what I want to do is help anybody understand what their rights are if they're selected for jury duty. This is an incredible opportunity to stand in the way of unjust laws and government tyranny.
There's a whole lot of money that goes into these cases. I have to ask you, is there not another way, perhaps working on whatever the law is that a certain group feels is unjust, to make a difference as opposed to wasting taxpayer money?
Well, what's a waste of taxpayer money is $40 billion a year on the failed war on drugs. That is the huge waste of money that needs to be addressed. This is a key part of the system, and this is how legislators will know that their laws are wrong. Jury nullification played a key role in ending alcohol prohibition. Juries refused to convict people for alcohol-related crimes. That's how they knew to change the laws. So this is a tradition that has a track record, and it's rooted in our history.
James Babb is a juror rights activist. He's the man behind some of the billboards you see in metro stations next time you go down near the courts. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Man, it was such a sad thing to hear the reporter toe the line the way she did in that interview.
Were you surprised?
Not really, but it was so blatantly horrible.
Please, repeater. They're called repeaters.
Like, why don't you use the system? This is using the system. Why don't you use the system instead of wasting taxpayer dollars? Wait a minute.
This is privately funded. Wasting taxpayers' dollars, like paying 45 freaking cops to go raid someone's house because they sold a plant that grows in the dirt.
Exactly.
Like that, or were we talking about some other taxpayers' dollars?
The couple hundred or the $100-$200 a day it costs to keep a person in jail, and I'm sure prison's even more expensive. Yeah, I mean, there's one article I posted into our prep. It's off of HuffPo, and they did a story on 32 people who are in prison with a sentence of life without the possibility of parole for a non-violent crime. So these are people, they're pretty much all drug crimes on here. So people who hadn't actually hurt anybody who are serving life with no parole, with no possibility of parole.
For shit that's legal now.
Well, not even that. Yeah, well, it depends where you are.
Exactly.
I mean, some of it, one person is because they had trace amounts of cocaine in their pocket. They couldn't even see it with the naked eye. They only found it through testing. It's like, okay, if you're carrying any Federal Reserve notes, there's traces of cocaine on like every friggin' note. It's insane. There was a law that they were trying to put into like Ohio that if you had a gun, if you owned a firearm and there were traces of cocaine or any other drugs in the vicinity, in its storage location or on it itself, it was some crazy felony. But it's like, and then somebody took a test and they started testing like every dollar bill that they got, and every one of them tested positive for something. And some of them were newly minted right out of the bank, first time out, and it was already testing positive for various substances. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's silly, I tell you. It's silly. Like the rest of the laws on the books.
Right. I'm definitely going to put this link in the show notes, but it is sad that, all these people who just happen to were selling drugs or happen to have something on them, and they've had crimes in the past. And even then, they might have been nonviolent offenses in the past too. And now they're in for life, which is friggin' ridiculous.
Yeah, so like, I'm having a conversation with one of my friends, and it's like, I can't believe that, you can't bring this stuff up. And, one of the attorneys that, I know, has tried to bring these things up, and, they're very, very strict on what you can and what you can't say. And, for the most part, they just shut it all down. Anytime you start talking about, jury rights or nullification, with very few exceptions, New Hampshire being one of them, where there's instruction. As a juror, you are instructed by the system that is against you as a defendant. So obviously they're not going to allow a defense attorney to bring these things up because it doesn't play into the racket. How are we going to get convictions, and how are we going to get more people in jail, and how are we going to prevent
this law? You have to have a license, so they can just yank your license and you're totally screwed. So even if you're a defense attorney and want to do the right thing, you will be stripped from being able to pursue law any further. You are basically giving up your entire career to do the right thing because they're going to strip you of your credentials. Did we lose Dylan? I think we lost him. Oh well. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, there's the 32 people on this article that are serving crazy sentences for this person happened to be working. He works at a plant nursery, construction, as a mortgage solicitor, a stereo store manager, and he was sentenced to life without parole for importing and distributing although this was 1,000 kilos of marijuana, and he's been in prison since 1991. So we'll see. And I think we have Scott back.
Yeah, shit went down. I don't know what happened, but we're back and we're live.
Yeah. Well, I think I've been on. I think you just dropped.
Yeah, it happens.
So I just rambled for a little bit, but
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, as you're saying, like it's hard to bring these things up, and even in New Hampshire, where it is law that if a defendant wants to use jury nullification, that there is instruction that the judge is supposed to give. But when we saw in the Rich Paul trial, the judge totally did not do that, and he, in fact, broke the law. But, he's part of the system, so they're not actually going to do anything to him. He broke the law, withheld the information that he was supposed to give on jury nullification, and then made it sound like that the jury was required to follow his instructions and find based on exactly the law as he gave him. And it sounded pretty threatening that if you don't do this, then you are going to be in trouble. That's basically what he said, but in a very, undertone manner.
Yeah, and that's the point that I was making. It doesn't play into the narrative to fill everybody in on all the rules of the game if the object is to win the game.
Right.
I think the game is called I Win. I saw it in an Adam Sandler movie. They're not gonna set themselves up for failure, and by informing everybody of what all of the rules are to make it impartial, maybe they just left something out.
Right, and even like I said, a place here in New Hampshire where it is now supposed to be, the rules are supposed to be given, they're still not done, and that's a huge issue. So, I mean, eventually that is going to be appealed, but it's going to take a year. I mean, Adamo's wiretapping case went before the Supreme Court today. It was over a year ago where he got put in jail for that wiretapping charge. So he's already been out for the past, 12 months on a wiretapping charge that the Supreme Court is now just hearing. So Rich Paul is still going to do his entire time, minus the good time, which is a whole nother story. I guess we can actually talk about that after the break. There's a bunch of things that have come up with that. So
wait, the good time? Oh man.
What? Yeah. Well, here we have a good time reduction. So if you're good behavior, you get like 2/3 sentence if you don't get any write-ups or anything like that. But there have been some developments in that, so we'll talk about that after the break. So we have to go to break now. You're listening to the Cop Block Radio Show on FPRN.
In 1997, a high school shooting was stopped by a vice principal with a gun. In 1998, a middle school shooting was ended by a neighbor with a gun. In 2002, a terrorist attack was stopped by a school guard and a teacher with a gun. After September 11th, pilots began carrying guns to protect their passengers. Let's give our schools and teachers the same option. Sign the petition at defendschools.com.
Hi, I'm Trevor Moore. Due to the recent revelations that in order to fight terrorism, the NSA has been using a secret court order to spy on every single Verizon and AT&T customer, Americans have become outraged and concerned about their rights to privacy. But along with that concern comes a feeling of hopelessness. I mean, what can we do? Vote in new leaders? Well, the problem is that during an election, each candidate pretends to not be an asshole. Then when they get the job, they reveal that they've actually been a complete asshole this entire time. No, elections are of no use. The only way to fight back against our country's excessive wiretapping and data mining is to make it irrelevant. That's why we're launching Operation Everyone Talk Like a Terrorist all the time. If we all openly discuss terrorist plots in each of our phone conversations, then eavesdropping on those phone conversations becomes pointless. It's simple. We just need to work it into our daily vernacular. For example, instead of saying, "I love you," you could describe a terror attack. The larger the scale, the more you love the person.
Hi, Mom. I just got out of school. Can you pick me up?
I'll be there in 15 minutes. I'm going to use a truck bomb to blow up the Brooklyn Bridge.
I'm mailing anthrax to Pierce to Morgan.
Or nonsense about God's will being great could mean affirmative.
Hey man, they have a 7:30 show, and do you think you can make it in time? God is merciful and his love is unchanging. Did you already get me a ticket?
And those are just a few examples. You can make up your own. Have fun with it. But it's time for us to stand up and protect our rights. Because those assholes aren't going to.
At Damari Nolo Outfitters, we view the outdoors as our home, not a harsh wilderness. Our gear is chosen for adventure, not just in our backyard, but in the vast expanse of our amazing planet. Damari Nolo Outfitters carries the essential gear and tools you will need to live the empowering mindset of self-reliance. Our products are chosen especially for their durability and quality, and are carefully tested by our staff and associates. Our promise to you is we never offer any item for sale we don't use ourselves, so we can offer only what we know to be the best. Our online store makes it simple to browse through our high-quality lines of clothing, knives, tools, load carry gear, and accessories. We are committed to offering you the best American-made equipment on the market, a promise you'll see as we continually add new products. For more information about our products and blog posts to help you learn more about self-reliance and equipment, please visit www.damarinolo.com. That's DOMARI-NOLO.com. Damari Nolo, chosen for survival and adventure.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Irene. I'm Lisa.
My name is Tom. I'm a graphic designer,
College freshman. Stay-at-home mom with a full-time job.
Scholar on social policy and a barista.
and I'm just like you.
I'm an Obama supporter.
I support President Obama.
But the president needs your help.
Our president can't launch into another war without you. And remember, we promise to support him no matter what.
Together, we can do it.
That's why we here at the Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants, Did You Know He's Friends with Jay-Z, have launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund World War III.
And America is dead-ass broke, so our goal is to raise $1.6 trillion on behalf of the U.S. government.
That's where you come in.
Even a small donation would make all the difference.
When I first saw the president speak in 2008 in a YouTube clip posted to my Facebook page, I knew he was going to be right all the time. So I support World War III and IV and any moon war the president may want to start.
I mean, there is no way that he or the cabal of corporate interests, spy agencies, and shadow bankers that tell him what to do would ever mislead us. A $25 donation will get you a piece of rubble from a war-torn Middle Eastern country kissed by Senator Lindsey Graham.
A $100 donation gets you a day pass to leave your local refugee camp.
You'll probably end up in a refugee camp, but it'll have free Wi-Fi.
So please, help us reach our goal of $1.6 trillion so we can make World War III a reality. Why? Because Obama.
Because Obama.
You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy.
Oh God, please help me. He's got a knife.
You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy. Stay on the line for the next available emergency operator. You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy.
Last year in the United States, thousands and thousands of 911 calls went unanswered. And if you call from a cell phone, there's no way to pinpoint where you are. Yet politicians like Dianne Feinstein call for more gun control. We have one question. Why do these politicians have armed bodyguards? Can't they just call 911?
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
They've got chambers of commerce. When business takes a nosedive, they take it easy. Who gets the gravy? Not you, not me. Oh, no. Well, fellas like you freeze on a breadline. What's the answer? Millions of us getting together. This country and its institutions belong to the people who inhabit it. When they grow weary of existing government, they have the constitutional right of amending it, or the revolutionary right to dismember and overthrow it.
And welcome back to the Cop Block Radio Show, live on FPRN and syndicated across the interwebs. I believe we are syndicated on at least 3 other stations, I believe, so that's cool. And this week we are brought to you by Sons of Liberty Mint, and that's SUNS, Sons of Liberty Mint, and they're awesome because they make silver quarters, so quarter-ounce pieces, and I believe they're going to have ounce pieces coming soon. I just saw on their Facebook page they got a few silver eagles and maple leaves available at the moment, so you can go check them over at sonsoflibertymint.com. That's SUNS of libertymint.com. And that's by the co-founder of Copblock, so we gotta, give him props. So, I think we're trying to get Adam on. He might be on, but he might not.
Somewhere.
Yeah, we're working on it.
So, we're talking about silver, but it's really hard not to talk about Bitcoin right now.
What's it at right now?
So I was actually kind of like judged or put in my place because I was using the Mt. Gox one. But I was told I was to use Bitstamp. But, we always go off of Mt. Gox because if I'm going to sell, that's where the price I'm selling at. It's at like 142. I'm sorry, 442.
437, I think Mt. Gox is right now.
Mt. Gox is at 442.
Oh.
Yeah, Bitstamp is at 410.
I'm either looking at old or really up-to-date charts, but that's all right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's
whatever.
Insanity. And
I'm waiting for like the friggin' bottom to fall out of this thing.
Yeah, I was like ready to invest a little bit more, and I was just kind of waiting for it to go below like 200, and it was down there for like a day or so, and I was like, all right, well maybe it's gonna go back down. Then all of a sudden it was freaking right back up to 390, then it was like over 400, and I was like, well, it's gonna be a while, better grab a Snickers.
Yeah, it's unlikely that this spike will be sustained. It seems to happen every time there's a spike and then a severe drop, but the level off period seems a little higher than the previous spike, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it goes below. I'd like to see it below 100 again, but I don't think that's going to happen in the near future.
Yeah. I'm still not a big fan of Bitcoin anyways. I think
it's just
more
like I don't gamble.
Type
like
thing.
I don't go to a casino. I don't play scratch off, some shit like that. But I don't know. It's something fun. Take some extra money, throw it in there, play with it a little bit. Like I don't intend on buying anything with Bitcoin or anything like that. I can see why people would want to, but I don't know. It's just like gambling for me, I guess.
Yeah, it seems to be. I saw a post. Somebody who does a lot of business in Bitcoin posted that every time the spike happens, his business dies. Nobody buys anything. They just hold it. So anytime there's a spike, like the Bitcoin movement stop for at least goods and services, which is what then drives the price back down, because if nobody's using it, then the volume crashes and the volume spikes, which then causes the value to go down.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So before the break, we were talking about Rich Paul. There has been some interesting developments about that. The warden of the jail that he's in here in Cheshire County is supposedly a member of LEAP, but sometimes he doesn't hold such views, and they had tried to get Rich out on an early release, and apparently the warden said objected to that because he didn't think he would stay out of jail, which is kind of odd because he's in there for a victimless crime of selling a plant. And since then, he has been getting a hard time from the people in the jail, such as he had asked for new shoes because they were old and whatnot, and then they never gave him new shoes, and he kept asking for new shoes, and then he got written up for having stinky shoes. But it's like, I've been asking you for new shoes because these shoes are old, and then you write me up for having old shoes. So he's been getting harassed like crazy, and we're not sure what's going to happen because there's been a threat of possibly moving him to a new jail should something happen, and they seem to be writing him up left and right for nothing. So they're just kind of finding reasons to write him up, and it's been a little rough for him.
I mean, I think that sounds like it to me. That feels like they're getting the message. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's working.
Right. Exactly. So we'll see what happens with that. Right now, he's the only activist in jail for at least this area. But hopefully not very far. He's supposed to be out sometime in early December, I believe, with good behavior and whatnot. But if he keeps getting written up, that might be extended a little, which I hope is not the case. But they seem to be doing all they can to keep him longer, which super sucks.
So Adam is with us.
Is he?
Yeah. You're not paying attention. Yeah, Adam's with us.
He hasn't said anything yet.
I'm here.
Oh, there he is. All right, so we've covered that stuff. So why don't you tell us what you've been doing?
Oh, greatness. Be even better if I didn't have an echo. So basically took a trip with the family down to Salt Lake and then down to Vegas. When I was in Vegas, I got to meet up with Kelly of Nevada Cop Block and got to go out and walk the strip with him and get some pictures, get some photos with a few police, talk to a few people. Did what I could when I could for cop blocking and for the radio show. And now I'm back up here in Salt Lake. So we're going to be up here for the next 3 days. So basically, if anybody wants to get a hold of me that's in Salt Lake, that wants to meet up and go out and do some filming or whatnot, let's do it. Get a hold of me. It'll be fun. But I plan on trying to do something either tomorrow afternoon or the next day and getting out and do some filming, hand out some flyers for Cop Blocks, some for the radio show, and having a good time.
Cool. Anything crazy happen?
I actually almost ended up involved in a high-speed pursuit in Vegas.
Nice.
On the front end or the back end?
Well, I was in the front, and then I ended up in the back.
Wow.
We were leaving Vegas. We had just gotten on the freeway. I was lightly speeding. Looked in the rearview mirror. I was in the far left lane. It's like 5 lanes wide freeway. So I look in the rearview mirror, and there's 2 Chargers coming up, like on my ass, like flying. And I'm like, whoa, those guys are moving. So I scoot over to get out of the way. I'm like, well, maybe they're not coming after me because I was speeding a little bit. So I scoot over, and all of a sudden this like yellow or not yellow, sorry, a gray Hyundai was flying by me on my right hand side, as if I was standing still. And I was probably doing 75, 80, and he went by me like I was standing still, and I was like, whoa. And then all of a sudden the cops go flying by on my left. I'm like, oh. And I see the guy in the silver car just kind of weaving in and out of cars, and then the cops start weaving in and out of cars. I'm like, oh, geez, they're chasing him. So, of course, I very, very heavily accelerated to try to keep up with them. Pulled out the camera, set it on the dash, kicked it on, and they instantly went flying off the next exit, and I kind of went flying by the exit and was like, oh, crap. Well, there's no way I'm getting turned back around to get that. So it was exciting, though. I tried. I was going to try to keep pursuing them. My wife wasn't very happy that I was doing those speeds to try to chase after them anyway. So I did what I could. As far as all that Dio's saying in the chat here, we got the tour idea. Actually, I did have a pretty long conversation with Kelly about the tour, and he was pretty excited about it and thinks it would be awesome. So we got to start lining some stuff up, see about trying to do a tour for the West Coast.
Nice.
Yeah,
you'll have to do you'll have to promote a Indiegogo or something. Did you see that Carlos Miller put up an Indiegogo for attorney's fees for his Boston thing, and it was like covered in like 5 hours?
Oh, I didn't even see it was covered. I saw exactly right when he put it up, and I shared the crap out of it because totally down with supporting him, and hadn't gotten back on and checked it since I shared the crap out of it because I've been trying to drive and get back up here to Salt Lake, so I haven't been able to get on anything and check. But that's awesome.
Yeah, it went over its goal in like 5 hours.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Dude, we posted it on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't post it. I'm sorry.
I did.
I think that was me.
Oh, yeah.
We shared it everywhere.
Oh, you posted it too?
Yeah, I think so. I posted it all over the place.
Yeah, I was like, yo, fucking hook him up. It's freaking Carlos Miller.
Yeah. So that's good that he got that. I'm looking forward to see what happens. There's an editorial in the Washington Post about the case. So it's like, yeah, you guys are totally screwed. That, this is everywhere now. Even the Washington Post has picked it up to be like, yeah, you guys are idiots.
Yeah, I was trying to actually explain that to some other people while I was down by Vegas about the whole thing with Carlos Miller, and they just couldn't comprehend the fact of how he was being charged with something in a city that he was never in. And they were just
right, and something he didn't end up actually do. He didn't actually do.
Yeah, he didn't wiretap, and yet he wasn't even in that state to do wiretapping.
Well, he's being charged with intimidating a witness.
Well, yeah,
it's
that
like
just doesn't...
you're a public relations person and are supposed to answer to media. Isn't that your job title, to answer questions? How is that possibly intimidation of a witness when you're simply asking them to do the job that they've been hired to do?
What? We forcibly they forcibly take money from us to pay them for their job.
Right. So it looks like they're at $4,200 and they only needed $2,200, and there's still 5 hours left in that campaign. So, but he just needed the $2,000 right off to get the lawyer down for the hearing that is tomorrow. But there may be three more hearings if they continue to pursue it, if it doesn't get dropped tomorrow. So he's probably still going to be looking for more money to help with that if the Boston police decides to continue to push it past tomorrow.
Yeah, if they don't
I guess that will be remain to be seen how it turns out tomorrow, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't heard how before Adam, you joined us. We were talking how Ademo's case actually went before New Hampshire Supreme Court today.
Did it?
I haven't heard anything else other than that it happened. I believe they do post the video up on the on New Hampshire's government website, so you can probably check it out in the next couple days. So I'm wondering how that went.
Now, this is Ademo's Supreme Court case for... You gotta remind me here.
So his wiretapping charge that he was in jail for 2 or 3 months for, that he was charged with a felony when he should have been only charged with a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
But they're also arguing that the law shouldn't have been applied at all because there's no expectation of privacy, and it's a gross injustice what happened to him.
Oh, okay. That one. All right. Just needed a refresh there on what was going on.
Right. So I don't know how that went yet, but it should be up on the Justice Department site sometime in the next few days, so we can check that out. I don't know when they're set to decide on it. They only hear a bunch of cases every Wednesday or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you got 15 minutes to talk, and that's it. So we'll see. So, let's see. What else do we have to talk about here? We have, the Atlanta, not the Atlanta police. Yeah, let's go to the Atlanta police. So the Atlanta police are apparently profiling certain cars now. But it gets really interesting. I believe the ACLU is involved in this one.
I remember hearing about this. I said I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, we talked about it during show prep, but we never actually got to it last week. So if we can play clip number 4, and it's pretty interesting.
All new at 5, a new kind of profiling that could leave you sitting on the roadside while officers search your car. Channel 2's investigative reporter Jody Fleischer is here now with families, an attorney, even a police officer who all say some cops are violating your rights. Jody.
Jovita, we started investigating nearly a year ago when one driver showed us cell phone video of officers searching his car during a traffic stop. We never said what kind of car because we didn't think it mattered. Now we've heard from more drivers who say it happened to them, and they all drive the same kind of car.
You probably know that sinking feeling.
Yeah, I knew I was speeding.
Blue lights flashing in your rearview mirror.
They asked me, why am I in this area?
First thing I thought was they had the wrong person.
But it isn't the person these drivers think cops were after.
He said, do you mind if I search your car? I knew nothing was in the car.
But Fred Williamson decided to say no.
Most people would say, if you don't have anything, why not go ahead and let them search it? Because that's my right to refuse them.
Robert Brinson also refused, then recorded what happened next.
Is this normal procedure if somebody get pulled over for a traffic ticket, y'all detain them?
They detain you. We asked you about drugs.
I mean,
we're talking all these clues and everything else.
Officers never said what those clues were. Records show it took only 8 minutes to write Brinson's speeding ticket, but another hour for a canine to arrive.
Why would you care for us to look at your car, man?
It's a waste of my time. I mean, I got a point of view on by now.
Shanita Hampton allowed officers to search her car.
30, 45 minutes, and we were in the rain, watching them damage my car.
She says the dog scratched the paint and trampled her daughter's birthday cake. Her husband was just a passenger.
He told me to put my hands on top of the car, go through my pockets.
In all 4 cases, the cops found nothing, and the drivers filed written complaints. All 4 were driving Dodge Chargers.
He walks back over to me and tries to explain to me that he was just doing his job and these vehicles are used to commit a lot of crimes in DeKalb County.
In Gwinnett County, records show an investigator admitted Williamson's vehicle would draw the attention of police officers.
Because of the way that they're built, they're more likely to have a bunch of drugs in them.
It's a frightening thing to think.
Attorney Mark Bowman is already suing DeKalb County, alleging a pattern of illegal searches.
To suggest that driving a particular type of car indicates you're committing a crime is ridiculous.
It's happening on a daily basis.
This officer says he's routinely called to traffic stops and his canine is expected to deliver, whether it detects drugs or not. Officers can't legally search the inside of a car unless the dog alerts on the outside.
They're forcing people to submit to their will and essentially violate their constitutional rights to not have their vehicle searched.
And he's noticed a pattern.
Your Chargers, certain Chevy vehicles, your Challengers, and they're being targeted specifically because young black men are driving those vehicles.
In Williamson's case, there was no canine, but the officers searched inside anyway.
I think they need to put better, training procedures in place to where this type of thing has to stop.
In that Gwinnett case, a second officer who was on scene filed a complaint against the one who searched Williamson's car. But in that case and the 3 in DeKalb, Internal Affairs cleared all of the officers and found no wrongdoing.
The word profiling always gets attention. Did any of the departments, or this one in particular, have anything to say about what you told them?
Well, of course, they say they aren't profiling. The DeKalb police chief told me his officers do not target specific cars. All of the cases we mentioned were before he got there, and he says now there is constant training and reinforcement of proper search procedures and good customer service. Gwinnett Police also gave us a written statement, which you can find on our website at WSBTV.com.
Jody, thank you. And this is getting big on Facebook. And, of course, there's the race component, so you can interact with Jody. Hundreds of people are already doing this. Go into Facebook. Here's a live look at the page. Be sure to visit facebook.com/WSBTV.
That is just friggin' ridiculous. That is, and what was that about training and good customer service? Can you really have good customer service when you are stealing your salary from the so-called customer?
You don't need to have good customer service whenever you work for the government.
Right, which is the fucking problem.
It's not optional.
Yeah, I about started laughing right there. It's like customer service. Wait, they have customer service?
I would like to. I would like a suggestion. Like to place a suggestion in the suggestion box. Also, I believe we should start a suggestion box.
Yeah, here it is. It's called the wastebasket.
Yeah, it's file 13. I've been there.
Yep.
Oh wow, that's crazy. It's just funny to me that they're profiling these cars. Well, at least in Washington State, I know that profiling like that is actually completely against the law, not allowed.
Well, one of them, they said that they had pulled the guy over and it only took 8 minutes to write the ticket. So at that point, he should be allowed to leave.
Well, then he's being detained, technically.
What? Right.
Technically, he's being detained then.
Well, that's the problem. After the ticket is written, they are supposed to be let go. If the K-9 can't get there in the time it takes to write the ticket, then they are legally allowed to leave. But I'm sure they just, hemmed and hawed and made it sound like he was being detained, but the person didn't actually ask if he was free to go. Because it took him an hour to get there with the K-9. He should have been long gone, 52 minutes earlier. So, I mean, that's probably one thing that they didn't think about. That, well, I have the ticket, so I'm no longer technically being detained. Now I'm staying here willfully. And they are bringing a K-9. But I'm sure they made it sound like he was not free to leave, even though he probably was.
Probably. Or
at least legally was allowed to.
Dio's thinking the same thing I was. That same thought there. The fact that they're pulling over the same cars that they tend to actually drive themselves a lot.
Right, isn't that funny?
It is. Criminals and cops drive the same cars. Yep, sounds about right.
They're using criminal activity.
Right, they're members of the gang. They're members of gangs, so that's exactly why they pull over other chargers, because they're a competing gang.
That's right. Competition.
They don't like competition, yeah.
Yeah, they don't like
Somebody paid off a rival cartel.
It's good stuff.
I mean, man, this is horrible. I watched I think it was like a National Geographic thing on Netflix about extreme drug enforcement or something like that, and it's like watching the whole thing, you're like, oh, every single one of these problems is your freaking fault to begin with. They're like, oh, we're trying to stop all the, if we seize all these drugs, then the cartels won't have any power, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you are giving them the power, you freaking retard. I'm sorry to all the retards out there.
No offense.
No offense. I'm sorry.
You have to say all due respect.
Lord, I apologize. But yeah, it's like everything that you're saying that's a problem, you have created the problem to begin with. And everything you're doing to try to stop the problem is making the problem worse. But, don't bring up logic to that. It just doesn't work. So we have to head to break. There is a lot more to come. You are listening to the Cop Block Radio Show on FPRN.
That's all we ever get, as all our presidents are puppets.
Mr. President, members of Congress, you've been making a lot of noise about taking our guns away. But you might want to review history. 1835, Gonzales, Texas Territory. The authorities wanted to confiscate the big gun that protected that colony. You know what the people said? come and take it, because they were willing to fight for their freedom and their guns. So are we.
Come and take it if you want it. Come and take it if you think you can. Come and take it, but I warn you, you'll have to pry it from my cold dead hands. We want the freedom that God gave us, so you best not cross that line. If you want this gun, you gotta come through us and take it.
One shot at a time. Just like Gonzalez, we're keeping our guns.
What's better than silver? Free silver, of course, which is what you'll get by partaking in Sons of Liberty Mint's weekly silver giveaways. It's fun, it's easy, and it's your chance to win 4 fine silver quarters. That's 1 ounce of .999 fine silver from Sons of Liberty Mint. All you have to do is guess the close of spot price each week for your chance to win. Visit sonsoflibertymint.com/contest for more details. That's SUNS, sonsoflibertymint.com. Paper money just doesn't get you what it used to, and we want to be prepared for a possible economic collapse, so visit sonsoflibertymint.com. They specialize in usable, divisible silver. Their signature product, the fine silver quarter, is the world's best bartering tool. Its unique design, shape, size make these 1/4 ounce .999 fine silver bars a must-have addition to silver stackers everywhere. Don't wait to wish you had usable silver. Head over to SUNSoflibertymint.com and load up on silver you can use today.
You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy.
Oh God, please help me. You've got a knife.
You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy. Stay on the line for the next available emergency operator. You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy. Please stay on.
911 operator, what's your emergency, please? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Last year in the United States, thousands and thousands of 911 calls went unanswered. And if you call from a cell phone, there's no way to pinpoint where you are. Yet politicians like Dianne Feinstein call for more gun control. We have one question. Why do these politicians have armed bodyguards? Can't they just call 911?
Talk about a wake-up call. I was paying for all the doctor's visits, insurance premiums, and medical costs out of pocket. All these expenses were keeping me from living the carefree lifestyle that I wanted. Then the government told me about Obamacare. Now with Obamacare, I don't worry about my health care. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want. I get all my prescription drugs for free, and there's no more coverage gap. I no longer need to worry about pre-existing conditions. We can see any doctor whenever we want for any reason, and so can everyone else.
Obamacare is not for everyone, like Congressman. If you are already healthy, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. If you are a sick person, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. Many people on Obamacare may experience longer wait times and fewer doctors, and denial of your treatment of choice. If you are faced with a healthcare situation, you may be denied treatment through government rationing.
Obamacare even covers my kids up to age 26.
If you experience a recession lasting more than 4 years, stop taking Obamacare and contact a travel agent to move to the Bahamas or New Zealand.
And the best thing is that Obamacare is free.
Obamacare is not free. Obamacare will increase the national debt by $863 billion in 10 years. Your taxes will go up $569 billion by 2019. If you see a major jump in your premiums, you should opt out of Obamacare immediately. Opting out of Obamacare is illegal and will incur major fines and penalties unless you are a union member who received a special waiver from the Obama administration. Obama is not responsible for the negative effects on the economy, your pocketbook, your freedoms, or your health.
Obama solved all my problems.
Obamacare. Live your carefree lifestyle.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
And welcome back to the Top Block Radio Show, live on FPRN and syndicated across the interwebs. Tonight with you is Eric, and I have with me Adam and Scott. And Adam was a late joiner, but that's okay.
We still love him.
I do what I can.
So you guys have anything specific you want to talk about, or we just want to move on?
No, I think we covered all of the, I think everything we've covered has been in depth, enough.
All right. So, I don't know if you've seen this one yet, but it's about a cop who likes to hand out speeding tickets, but he's not so keen on following the law when it regards himself. So, if we can play clip number 5.
Hi, I'm Donna Britt.
And I'm Andre Morrow. There's an uproar about a cop in Sorrento, so much so that some people want him to turn in his badge.
A GPS in his police car registered Officer James Bell speeding more than 700 times, sometimes out of his jurisdiction. Our Cheryl Mercedes reports one woman is taking the town and the police chief to court.
Officer James Bell joined the ranks of the Sorrento Police Department last December. On September 2nd of this year, he was involved in a crash on Airline Highway. According to this report by state police, Officer Bell said he was attempting to catch up to a vehicle that was allegedly going 80 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone. The pursuit ended when the officer slammed on his brakes, lost control of his police cruiser, and hit another car. According to the GPS in his unit, Bell was going 100 miles per hour when this happened. The woman in the other car who was injured has hired attorney Andre Goche.
The officer was just driving down the road at this crazy rate of speed.
According to the telematics or GPS records Goche requested for Bell's police car on that same afternoon, Bell's cruiser also reached speeds of 109 and 106 miles per hour in other instances. The report also shows from July 1st to September 3rd, Bell's unit was clocked going over 75 miles per hour 737 times, often outside of town limits.
You're driving above the speed limit in areas outside of your jurisdiction, so surely you're not chasing people outside of your jurisdiction, are you, officer?
Bell's boss, Police Chief Earl Terrio, says citizens speeding is a big problem in Sorrento, and his officers have cracked down hard.
75 and a 55. 90 and a 70. 68 and a 45.
The chief says Officer Bell has written well over 300 citations for speeding in the last 2 months, but he says there's no excuse for Bell's speeding.
Yes, he was wrong, and he was reprimanded for it.
We got Bell's disciplinary record from the Sorrento Police Department. In the 9 months he's been on the force, he's been reprimanded twice, only once for speeding. That write-up states due to the fact you were in a car accident with your unit SP5 on US 61 by Dollar General on September 2nd, 2013. And another write-up because he broke the law and parked in a handicapped parking spot in front of Dollar General. Residents are not happy, including Joshua Irvin, who says he recently got a speeding ticket from Officer Bell.
Why hasn't he issued citations? How can he wrongfully issue civilian citations but doesn't uphold the same law for himself?
Chief Terrio says his hands are tied. Why isn't he on paid administrative leave?
That we don't have the manpower to do here.
Bell is one of only 5 officers on the Sorrento police force. Still, Goche says leaving Officer Bell on the road is putting the public in danger. He plans to sue the town and the chief.
727 violations? I think they should take him off the road before somebody gets killed.
Cheryl Mercedes, WAFB 9 News.
I like how the chief's excuse for not having him on leave was that they don't have enough manpower to do it.
Where I come from, we call that warm body syndrome. I don't put up with that shit. But
109 miles an hour over 109 miles an hour. That's crazy. And he's writing tickets for
people
the
going
same thing.
10.
Right.
Yeah, for going 10 over.
And 10 here's 2 points too.
Yeah, and the chief is like reading off, oh, look, we got a 90 and a 70. We got a 68 and a 45. It's like,
Why does this
not
guy have a driver's
justification.
license still?
I don't want to hear why. I want to hear what are you going to do about it.
Right, which was absolutely nothing. And when they pulled his reprimand record, he had parked in a handicapped spot, and the other was because he got in the car accident. It wasn't prior to the car accident that he had been going over 100 miles an hour a lot. They only wrote him up because he got in a car accident.
Where they probably had to.
Right.
To save face.
Right. Well, at that point, it's a now. What are they going to do when we have all these records that this guy's been driving like a maniac for quite a while, and even out of his jurisdiction?
That's like, did you see the video? I think it was in Florida. There was a female, highway patrol or whatever they call them down there. And she was arresting another cop, and it was like a confrontation. She's like, you drive through here over 100 miles an hour every night. I see you. I can't catch you, and I caught you tonight.
Yep. That was a good one.
Yeah. She should have beat him.
Like a 2.5 month period. So what's that work out to? At least 10 times a day, he's doing at least 10 over the speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
But he wrote something like 300 tickets in 2 months for speeding.
I don't understand how he still has a license to drive.
That guy is a hazard to himself and others.
Yep.
Completely.
Oh well. I mean, it's the good old double standard. But on that note of a double standard that didn't stick, I don't know if you remember this, Adam.
Which thing? What do you got?
What?
What do you got?
Wait, is that just on mine, or is that coming over the stream?
What do we got going on? What?
Oh,
sounds?
I accidentally started my own. I started the audio file on my own computer. I thought I was streaming for a second. All right. So I don't know, Adam, if you remember this, but there was a hit and run here in New Hampshire where a cop had hit 2 people with an unmarked car and drove off.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And always with double standards, there was a written article in the Union Leader, which is kind of the statewide newspaper here, and they had compared that, here's one case where it was not a police officer who did this, who, they're charged with a felony and all this stuff. And then here's the police officer who hit somebody with his unmarked car, no less, so government property, drove off, and he gets a plea deal for a misdemeanor. But it didn't go the way he was expecting it to. So if we can play clip number 3, it's a good news this time.
Before Superior Court Judge Jillian Abramson rejected the plea deal, she ordered Special Prosecutor Mark Hathaway to present an offer of proof. That's essentially the evidence he would present if there were a trial. And while the judge went on to say the court has no discretion in terms of which charges are filed, the court has every discretion on whether or not to accept a plea deal. It was flatly denied. Stephen Coco, flanked by his father and his attorney, Mark Howard, in court Tuesday morning. Attorneys presented a plea deal that reduced the charges against Coco to misdemeanor vehicular assault, claiming Coco had no idea he plowed over 2 people when he was, quote, retrieving information from a cell phone on Herod Lane in Bedford back in March. The families of the boys took their case to the media after they say the prosecutor let them down. And now they say they're delighted that all the evidence will be presented in a trial.
This is a move in the right direction. I'm very pleased. I know the truckers were very pleased. We're happy to go to trial. We think the evidence will speak for itself, that it's clear felony case that we're dealing with.
Just to clarify and reiterate, felony versus misdemeanor, that is still completely up to the prosecutor, up to the prosecutor's discretion. The trial is set for March 3rd, coming up tonight on WMUR TV beginning at 5. You will hear from all sides in this emotionally charged case. Live in the newsroom this noon, Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
So, at least in this case, the judge rejected the plea deal that was before her. So hopefully now that's going to go to trial. They're going to bump it back up to the felony charges that he was originally charged with, and any other person would be charged with for texting and driving and then hitting somebody and driving off. Because that's exactly what he was doing by the sound of it. So if it's you or me, we'd be up to our eyeballs and
we'd be bent over.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad that the judge said, yeah, I ain't accepting this crap. Forget it. We're going to trial.
I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out, though, because you still have, I don't know if it's going to be a jury trial or a bench trial.
Right. Well, if it's going to be the same judge at this point, they're probably going to go to a jury trial because the judge has already said that she wouldn't reject. So, if it's a Class A misdemeanor or above in New Hampshire, you have a right to a jury trial. So, now that the judge isn't looking so favorably, they might choose a jury trial over a bench trial, unless they get the judge tossed, which is unlikely, but you never know. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we can talk about that.
See, I don't know. People still have this whole stigma behind the fact that, well, they know better than we do, and he was just doing his job.
Right. And how is
people are so sympathetic.
Right. It's ridiculous. But if it was you or I, we would be thrown away with the locked up and the key thrown away, that type of thing.
Emphasis on pathetic.
Right. So, I mean, at least it's a step in the right direction in this particular case that the judicial branch isn't giving. Well, the prosecutor still seems to be giving a little favorability. So we'll see if the charges get put back to felony in the upcoming days, I guess. And this case isn't until March, so it's a ways away. So who knows? It might get buried in a different plea deal, or it might not be upgraded, and it'll still just be the low-level charge for hitting two pedestrians and driving off.
Isn't there anything for like texting while driving?
Yeah, there is here, I believe. But even then, I mean, that's like a misdemeanor too.
That's like a byproduct. So that should be like, more of the shit getting stuck to the wall, and the last thing to stick should be a felony charge for fucking hitting some people in a goddamn car.
Right. It's, a felony vehicular assault. I mean, that's exactly what it was. But
were the people hurt?
Yeah.
That's aggravated assault.
They luckily didn't die, but,
Right. That's aggravated assault right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a felony. Point blank. And fleeing the scene of an accident. What about that?
Right, exactly. It's like this guy had racked up like at least 3 charges. So how is this guy getting a plea deal of, a low-level misdemeanor where he probably wouldn't even serve any time when he clearly harmed somebody?
Right. That's a crime. There's victims.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see how it goes in the future.
Death by sodomy.
Well, nobody died, so I don't think you can go that far as a punishment. I think that the punishment wouldn't fit the crime in that case.
All right.
So, unfortunately, we do have the opposite side of the story, though, in a different case. I just brought so many clips to the show tonight, so we're just going to be an ongoing clip show. So if we can play clip number 7, we have the opposite side of the coin on this one.
2 historic steps were taken this afternoon in the case that reshaped Williamson County justice and justice across Texas.
Former Judge Ken Anderson pleaded guilty in an agreement that includes 10 days in jail for criminal contempt. It came out of the 1987 trial that sent Michael Morton to jail for a murder someone else committed.
But perhaps an even bigger shockwave may have been the next announcement. KXAN's Chris Sadeghi has more from Georgetown.
Right away, people started debating whether or not 10 days was enough, whether it was appropriate. But not only will Anderson never practice law again, every person he helped put in jail now has a ray of hope.
Mr. Morton, the world's a better place because of you.
Another chapter in the story is finished. The man who convinced 12 jurors to send Michael Morton to prison for a murder he didn't commit is now going to jail himself. It could be for as few as 4 days, but all that wasn't what Morton was after.
The only thing that I want as a baseline is for Ken Anderson to be off the bench and for him to no longer practice law. And both of those things have happened and more.
A lot more. The next chapter began when the Innocence Project announced every case Anderson tried during 16 years as a district attorney will be under independent review if that defendant is still in jail. Morton lost years of his life, and because of it, if there are others like him, they could be saved.
My number one motivating factor here is that what happened to me will not happen to you. And by what happened today, we've succeeded.
And with each chapter written, Michael Morton is rewriting the book of justice.
He has changed criminal justice in Texas, and he, with his fellow exonerees, are going to change criminal justice all across this country.
Anderson has until December 2nd to report to the sheriff's office to begin his jail term. And former DA John Bradley also will be subject to a review, all the cases where he opposed DNA testing. We're in Georgetown. Chris Sadeghi, KXAN News.
This is such bullshit across the board, and people are praising it as a win. Even the guy who was in jail, who was in jail for killing somebody who he didn't actually kill for the past 25 years, he's calling this a win. It is not a win at all, considering that he, was a prosecutor for 16 years. He was a judge for many years after that, and he's basically he was going to be wrapping up his career soon anyways, and he's only going to jail for 10 friggin' days. That's it.
10 days?
10 days.
You know that he's not going to some federal pound-me-in-the-ass prison.
Oh,
right, which is where he deserves to go. Right.
What's that?
He's going to Martha Stewart prison.
He's going to the country club. Yep.
Right. And he should be going to, federal penitentiary with 25 years on his head for everything that he ever did. He had, it's not just this one case. I hope through these independent reviews, there are way more that come up. And they put this scumbag away for a much longer time than 10 years because he deserves way more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy deserves to spend a long time.
Yeah, he's the one who should be in prison for life without the possibility of parole, considering how much damage he's done to
people's families and lives.
Right. He withheld evidence that this guy was innocent to prosecute a case and got a conviction. He was prosecuting a case where he withheld evidence that he knew the guy he was prosecuting was innocent, and he still prosecuted and put him in jail for 25 years.
Destroyed that man's life completely.
Right. For what?
So he could have another, check mark on his list of things he's done, I guess?
For money.
Right. Fine. Yeah, but what money? What money did he get on top of what he was already going to get anyways? He was going to get paid either way.
Well, yeah.
So he got a win. He got the recognition. He got the freaking pat on the back. He got the promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Money.
Right. And the worst punishment he gets is 10 days. Are you serious?
Days, yeah.
If I were to perjure myself and lie, I would be, facing felony charges. I would face more than 10 days in prison.
Exactly.
There's what's the difference?
Yeah, so he has to give up his law license, big frickin' deal, perform 500 hours of community service, big frickin' deal, and spend 10 days in jail, big friggin' deal, for destroying countless lives. So who knows how many other cases he has prosecuted where he withheld information, knowing damn well the person he was putting in jail was innocent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how many
this guy's
lives
a
and families
douchebag
they
on the
destroy?
highest level. If he doesn't have a guilty conscience when he does stuff like that, he is the biggest douchebag on the planet. He is a horrible human being.
You should send him flowers
douchebag
and
of the
say,
week.
I just want to congratulate you for being a fucking douchebag.
So there we go. He is our dick of the week.
Yeah.
He is the dick
Completely.
of the past 20 years, really.
There you go.
I hope that guy gets butt herpes or something.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the worst.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
So yeah, like it says that one of the police officers who railroaded this guy who was in jail for 25 years is now the chief of his department.
He's the Captain Dickhead.
Right. Man.
What the fuck?
This is just friggin' ridiculous. So I hope they come up with more dirt on this guy so they can stick him in a hole for a very, very long time. Because 10 days is nothing for what he's done. It is bullshit on the highest level. Freaking nuts. Anybody else have anything to throw into that? It's really just this guy's the biggest dick in the world.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I'm good. Like, you can only say it so many ways. Like, and once again, what's the coverage on that?
Right, a whole lot of nothing now. Well, this was actually on HuffPo, so it was a little wider spread than most, but even then, this still seems to be relatively low on the list of things. This should be like frickin' front page everywhere, but it's not because somebody needs to know about some celebrity who had a frickin' baby. Who gives a shit? The stuff that actually matters gets no coverage. Pisses me off. So, Adam, you brought in an article about marijuana DUI in Arizona. Uh-oh, did we lose him? I should probably check the chat, huh? Oh,
I didn't
Adam.
think so.
Oh, we lost him.
Oh, yeah, now you tell us. Thanks.
Adam's computer hit went to sleep, I guess. Neither of you were very set today. You don't have your power cable. He doesn't have his power cable, apparently.
I'm so good. I got 4 hours and 2 minutes. Not that I consider that accurate at all by any means.
Well, hopefully it'll manage to last for the last half hour. But
yeah, we're good. If not, it's like we're good. We got plenty of iPad time.
Yeah, so he had brought in an article about Arizona's law when it comes to marijuana that even a small trace could end up landing you with a DUI conviction even if you're not actually impaired, and that trace is from, days or weeks ago. Because apparently they can test for quite a long time. I don't know, I'm not up on my whole how long does pot stay in your system, but we'll talk about that and more when we come back on the Cop Block Radio Show on FPRN.
And you stand by. You act as if nothing.
In 1997, a high school shooting was stopped by a vice principal with a gun. In 1998, a middle school shooting was ended by a neighbor with a gun. In 2002, a terrorist attack was stopped by a school guard and a teacher with a gun. After September 11th, pilots began carrying guns to protect their passengers. Let's give our schools and teachers the same option. Sign the petition at defendschools.com.
Well, yeah, it's getting tough out there. Yeah, no doubt. I work in home invasions, mostly. Some murder, occasional rape, if she's hot, or really bitchy. And I'm a huge advocate of gun control, absolutely. Every time I kick in a door or smash a window, I face the possibility of being shot and killed. Allowing citizens to own guns creates a hostile work environment for me and my associates. No one should have to work under under those conditions. I say make them all illegal. Absolutely. I mean, I break the law for a living. I'm a professional, so it doesn't really bother me. No doubt. No doubt.
Your local violent criminals work hard and put their lives on the line every time they attempt to murder, rape, abduct, or assault a member of the citizenry. They desperately need your help. With your support, there may finally come a day when a violent criminal can have his way with you or someone you love without the fear, anxiety, and stress caused by knowing there's a possibility his victim might be armed. Please show your support by voting for stronger anti-gun legislation, because criminals prefer unarmed citizens.
In every age, a technology is created that upends the foundations of society. The wheel, the printing press, the internet. Now, in a world sliding into financial chaos, a new technology is changing the way monetary systems work around the world. It is called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a new form of money, controlled not by banks, governments, or corporations, but through mutual commerce between free individuals. To learn more, visit weusecoins.com.
Do you have a group or organization founded on the principles of personal liberty, health freedom, or accountable government? We invite you to check out Same Side Entertainment. Same Side is a source for activists and liberty organizations to connect with well-known leaders in today's growing movement for sustainable living, personal liberty, and sovereignty issues. Same Side has a variety of keynote speakers, debate panels, interactive web presentations, musicians, and liberty-based entertainment, as well as services for web design, graphic design, video, and photography. Same Side can help customize your event by connecting you to the best of the liberty and political world while staying within your budget. Get connected with leaders in the liberty movement like Tom Woods, Kevin Gutzman, Jack Hunter, Robert Scott Bell, Bob Murphy, Michael Scheuer, John Bush, Jordan Page, Tatiana Moroz, and many more. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our website at www.samesideentertainment.com. Again, that's www.samesideentertainment.com. Same Side Entertainment, connecting you with the education and resources you need.
Get over to sonsoflibertymint.com right now. Secure your wealth by trading in those pesky Federal Reserve notes for Sons of Liberty Mint's fine silver quarters. These 1/4 ounce bars, square in shape and stamped "Trust in Yourself," are unlike any other traditional round. With 4 pieces per ounce, you'll not only be investing in sound money, but you'll also be purchasing usable, divisible silver. Don't get stuck with ferns or bulky silver bars. Visit sunsoflibertymint.com today and invest in silver you can use.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
And we are back on the Copblock Radio Show live on FPRN and syndicated across the interwebs. And as you heard in that second to last commercial there, Sons of Liberty Mint is sponsoring us tonight, so you should really check them out at sonsoflibertymint.com, and that's S-U-N-S. Sun as in the star that the earth goes around. Sonsoflibertymint.com. They're awesome. And I really want to get some of their silver. But I haven't yet. I'm really bad about that.
I've been like I don't know. I won't buy silver's. I think it's still over $20, and I'm wait for it to come down.
Yeah, but you think it's going to come down anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, 19 was kind of the bouncing point.
Yeah, but it was where's it at? It was at like 22 the other day, and I was like, I'm definitely not. Yeah, like right now it's at 20.8.
But it was up to 30 not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's been at 20 for maybe, I don't know, it's been over 20 for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, I think this is I think this is kind of the settle of the dip. I don't think it's going to go any much lower. If it goes any lower, it'll probably go back up to 30 sometime soon. I like silver just because it's a physical thing I can hold on to.
Yeah, it's tangible.
Yeah, I like just, sitting in my chair, doing the Oh crap!
The coin trick.
Yeah, well that, but I forgot. Oh, the Dr. Claw thing, just sitting there with my, stack of money.
Racking your chips.
Yep.
I prefer to invest in lead.
That's yeah. Well, specifically shaped lead. Unless you like to
mostly conical
to make your own. Is Adam back with us? I think.
I am.
All right, there you go.
Sorry, guys. Peter died. Had to go out and dig through the car and find the charger in the back and the suitcases. And, I don't know where it's at.
That's all right. Scotty left his at work.
No.
Luckily, he has enough battery life, though. He'll make it.
I know. I knew. I was like, I'll be good. I knew it'd be all right.
So, right before the break, I had talked about that in Arizona, you can get a DUI for having trace, and you brought up the story, so I didn't know if you wanted to go into that. Adam.
No, what? Sorry. Wow, distracted. Totally distracted reading something else.
Spaced out.
Yeah, the Arizona story about you can get a DUI for trace amounts of marijuana in your system.
Oh, yeah. No, I was reading all about that the other day. So, yeah, basically, Arizona has a setup where when they actually test for marijuana in your system, if you get pulled over and you're suspicion of DUI, they actually do the blood test. So they'll take you in and blood test you. And the the actual chemical they're looking for in you is not just THC. I believe it's one of the cannabinoids. And it's one of the cannabinoids in marijuana that tends to stay in your system for an extremely long time. It's not used by basically any other state to test for that property in your system, because that type of chemical stays in your system for so long, and basically you read positive on it when you haven't smoked it in like a month. So Arizona's been using this for a while, I guess, and they still are. But basically what they're doing, they're pulling people over for suspicion of DUI. Basically, all they have to do is figure out if you've smoked pot at all recently. And they can guarantee themselves a DUI conviction on you, because they will test for this cannabinoid that they will find in your system if you've smoked within like the last month. And they can actually arrest you, put you in jail, and charge you with a DUI charge for it. So I myself, as a medical marijuana user in the state of Washington, fully legal for me to use, and not only on top of that, it's fully legal for anyone to use over the age of 21 if I was to go down, and I actually did. So technically I went through Arizona today and a few days ago, just barely in the state. I was in the state for probably 45 minutes, just up on the top corner of Arizona, traveling through to go over to Vegas. If I would have been pulled over and they suspected me of anything, they literally could have arrested me and charged me with DUI for driving under the influence of marijuana, even though I haven't used marijuana since I left Washington, which was almost a week ago now. So literally, they could arrest me and put me in jail for that, but it seems that they're doing that quite often, and it's ridiculous that they're testing for this trace element that gets left over in the body that does not at all prove that you're under the influence or intoxicated by any means of marijuana. It's ridiculous.
Aren't there things that are considered cannabinoids already that your body synthetically makes anyways?
I believe so. If I remember correctly, I'd have to look at it again. But basically, yeah, it's kind of like this whole new argument with marijuana that they're doing is these cannabinoid receptors that are in your body is basically programmed to accept these cannabinoids that marijuana produces, and I believe that your body already produces itself, but not all of the same ones, and very small portions of it. So basically, what's been figured out recently is that the human body is built to accept marijuana. Basically, as if the human body was designed to use this plant in whatever shape, way, or form you want to use it. The body's designed to accept it and use it in some form, in a way, in your body. And so, yeah, so to test for this cannabinoid that stays in the body forever, and try to blame people for DUI on something that stays in your system for months, it's ridiculous. You cannot say that this person was under the influence or intoxicated because they have this cannabinoid in their system. It's ridiculous, in my opinion.
Are any of those chemicals found anywhere else other than in marijuana?
I'm
sure there's got to be random ones here or there that are not specific to cannabis, you know.
I want to say I was reading something. There's this other plant. I don't remember what it is, so don't quote me on this. There's another plant that produced some sort of either very similar like cannabinoid or similar in properties to cannabinoids that the marijuana plant produces, but it's off enough that it doesn't register the same.
Interesting, man. That's messed up that they, even if you're not actually impaired, they can still.
Well, yeah, I mean, and then even there's still the argument in like Washington State and Colorado and California, the argument of how to give someone that's a medical marijuana user that, say they have cancer and they're heavily using it and they're using very large amounts of this, of marijuana per day, every day, and say they go a day without it so that they can drive their car. Well, they're still going to technically register that they're probably high as shit, but they're actually not.
Right.
And someone that heavily
that
uses that much, it's like functioning alcoholic. You're always going to have it in your system.
Right. I'm assuming over time the body builds up a pretty good tolerance to the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like alcohol. You're going to build up a tolerance to it, and you're going to have high amounts of it in your body, whether or not you're actually impaired or not. And it's the same thing. And so there's been a big argument about that recently with states that have medical marijuana and how to approach this situation of writing a DUI to a medical patient that obviously is going to test positive whether or not they use that day or not.
Right, and especially like in Arizona. Don't they have medical in Arizona?
Actually, I don't know if Arizona. I will find out. 2 seconds.
Well, I know that even then, what they're testing for is insane. It would be like in alcohol, it'd be like instead of testing the alcohol content in the body, they'd be testing some enzyme in your liver that is produced in quantities after you drink alcohol that, might not be any more alcohol in your system, but the enzymes are there. So, you're drunk. I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like with this. They're like, this little bit of this random chemical that hangs around forever that doesn't actually do anything. It's in your system, so you are high. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, no, it is. It's completely.
I mean, they're like testing the a artifact instead of the actual chemicals that are doing stuff. So that is messed up. What else do you have in here? Oh, I saw that. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. The cavity search in New Mexico. That there's been a third and I believe a fourth that has come out.
Is there now a fourth?
I believe there was. I will have to recheck, but I think there was.
The third was like the woman, right?
Right.
Third was the woman. Yes.
Okay.
I think there might have been a fourth, but
I haven't
don't
seen the
hold me
fourth
to that
yet.
one specifically. I mean, the third came out on November 8th, and we are 5 days removed from there, so a fourth probably wouldn't be totally out of the question at this point. But yeah. What else? What else do we have for you tonight? Let's see. Oh, I'm surprised we haven't even touched on this one. Why don't we play clip number 6? It's been all over the news, so we might as well talk about it, I guess.
Team News at 5.
It started as a chase and ended in an officer-involved shooting on the Iowa State University campus. Today we're learning more about the man who died and the officer authorities say pulled the trigger. Good evening. I'm Erin Kiernan.
And I'm Sonia Height. Susan, thank you for joining us. An Ames police officer made the decision to use deadly force to end the chase yesterday morning.
Authorities say Officer Adam McPherson fired the shots, hitting 19-year-old Tyler Comstock of Boone. Channel 13's Eric Weeder talked with Comstock's mother. Eric joins us first on 13.
Sherry Comstock, Tyler's mother, says her son had been going through a lot. She says he had recently stayed in a homeless shelter and had been arrested for disorderly conduct. Now today she helps us understand what may have led Tyler to run from police. Ames police say the chase started near Beach Avenue when they pulled over a vehicle that Tyler Comstock took from his father after an argument. According to Sherry Comstock, That argument started when Tyler's father refused to buy him a pack of cigarettes at the gas station.
He started punching the truck and tried breaking his window out and ripped the door, back.
Sherry says her 19-year-old son, a former student at Boone High School, was a bright and caring kid, but outbursts like this weren't out of the ordinary.
It is scary the way that he goes into rages like that.
Sherry admits Tyler was difficult to control, but she's struggling to understand why police chose to chase him through campus. Iowa State students John Hope and Michael Christensen saw it happen.
So I turned around because I had my back to it all, and then I saw this big white pickup, going through, and it just started going off over and towards Central Campus.
Look over and I see this truck in reverse, going really fast.
In dispatcher audio obtained by the Des Moines Register, an unidentified person can be heard saying, quote, "If he's that reckless coming into the college area, why don't you back off?" Commander Jeff Huff said he can't comment on the audio because police didn't release it to the media. However, he defends the department's decision to do everything in their power to keep the public safe.
We have to make split-second decisions that other people get, weeks, months, and years to decide whether or not we made the right decision. In this case, the officer did back off a little bit, but it seemed to make sense to continue with the lights and sirens to warn other people. His driving behavior was very erratic from start to finish.
Sherry may never see eye to eye with police on the decision to pursue him or use deadly force to bring the chase to an end.
I think that he shouldn't have been chased, especially in that area, with so many pedestrians.
But police say it was necessary.
We were afraid he was going to get loose, take off again, and possibly injure other people.
Ames police have not released dash cam or any campus video of the incident, but Commander Jeff Hoff says it still has to go through the Department of Criminal Investigation and District Attorney's Office. He says that video shows the danger police and the public were in and why it was necessary to stop their suspect as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow this one. Thanks for the update, Eric.
This is completely the father's fault.
Father of the year.
Yeah. That's... While the police didn't do the right thing to begin with, the father was the one who initiated the whole chain of events.
Mm-hmm.
He basically called in a fake stolen vehicle because his son took his car. It wasn't stolen. He knew who had it, and he called it in to say that there was a stolen vehicle. What did he think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Well, not only that, though, the thing, I don't know if you can put full blame on the father. I think you can put a lot of blame on him, but I don't know about full. Because there's the article I was reading about that was about the fact that you can there was audio clips that were released about that from dash cams where you've got dispatch telling the officer to back off. We know who it is, we know whose car it is, and we know who's driving it, and telling the officer not to approach and not to rile up the situation, and then obviously he did what he did.
Right, but this shouldn't come as a surprise. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
it was initiated by the father.
Well, it was, yes, completely initiated by the father. But obviously the police didn't back off when they were told to back off.
Right. But yeah, I mean, if I set in motion a chain of events that ends up with somebody dead, it is my fault that I started the whole thing to begin with.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's two problems. One, the dad used the police to do something that they shouldn't have been doing to begin with.
How old was the guy? The kid.
The kid? I don't know. He was like 19 or something. I'll have to check again.
Was he 19? I thought he was younger than that.
I'm not 100% sure offhand. I will check. 19.
Okay.
He was 19. But yeah, the father basically called in the police to do something that was his job.
Yeah.
Like the whole reason he was going out is because his dad refused to buy him some cigarettes when he went out. So the kid went out to go buy some cigarettes for himself, and the dad called the police on that. What the hell was he thinking? I mean, that makes no sense. This is one of those things that's like, why are you calling the police in to do parenting? I mean,
It's like
this
the school
seems
districts that won't punish kids. Oh, we gotta call the cops.
right. Exactly.
Be a role model.
Right, but that's a thing that happens all the time where parents call the police on their kids to do, for this and that. It's like, why are you wasting the police time for your parenting problems? I mean, it makes no sense.
I would, whenever I was growing up, I would rather deal with the police than my parents. Because my parents were good parents.
Right, exactly. So, and they probably didn't have to call the cops on you because they were good parents to begin with. So, it's such a waste of time, and this is the results that can happen. I mean, we hear about this all the time where the events start off, the parents called the cops to do X, Y, Z. Like the kid who is suicidal, they called the cops to try to get him out of the house, and what they do, a sniper shoots him and kills him. How
has this changed the outcome?
Right, exactly. It's like, no, you guys were supposed to coax him out of the house, not kill him. The whole reason you were called was because he was threatening to kill himself. So why you just killed him? What kind of backwards thinking is that? But that's the problem that happens when you call the cops to handle something that the cops should not be handling. I mean, that should be more of a, some sort of trained professional in psychiatric breakdowns or something like that. They would be much more useful than a sniper across the street. Why would you bring a sniper to a mental breakdown situation when the only person in danger is the person themselves who was having the breakdown, not anybody else? But, I mean, in this case, as you mentioned, that they were told to back off because they knew whose car it was, they knew who was driving it, and they just continued to escalate the problem. I say, once you know the identity of the driver, then you have no need to chase them anymore, unless they are going somewhere specifically to do harm to somebody. At that point, it's time to back off and get them later.
Yeah, there was a couple high-speed police chases in Pennsylvania in the past week, and a couple in the past 2 days. And I was looking online at some of the comments that people were saying, and it was actually, to me, encouraging, because the people are tired of it. They're like, why are they chasing people through towns? Let them slow down. Let them do something. You're chasing it. All you're doing is escalating the situation and putting more and more people in danger. If you know who the person is or what the license plate number is, what's the point of chasing them? All you're going to do is endanger more people. And that's exactly what happened. There was an incident somewhere that I'm not sure when it was, but it was led to an accident. There was, I think, one of the officers was hurt. One of the people that was, involved was hurt because they were being chased for a victimless crime.
Right. And I had a boss who used to be a cop, but he's not anymore. He told me one of the things that they do, or where he worked, was kind of dangerous. So whenever they did a traffic stop, he was taught the one thing you do not do is ask, do you know why I pulled you over? You start off in saying, I pulled you over because you never know that they might think you pulled them over for something else. So say they're running drugs or something and you're just pulling them over for, having a light out, just to tell them, hey, you have your light out. It's better to tell them, do you know why I pulled you over? Well, that could be a whole mess of possibilities and a good way to get yourself shot, other than saying, hey, you have a light out right off the bat. But, I mean, chasing for stupid things, it just causes so many problems. It makes no sense to endanger people for something that wasn't already endangering others. Because in this case, they caused the situation to become dangerous to others. It wasn't dangerous to others before the cops came on the scene. he was driving perfectly fine, but because the cops showed up, that's what happened. He took off. And who knows why? I mean, he could have had some pot on him or something. You know, that, or he was afraid of something happening to him, and then it just leads to this. And now we don't know why, because the kid's dead, and he can't say, well, you know, this, and this, so this is why I had to run. Because everything you do now is illegal anyways, so.
Right. Well, not to mention the fact that, you know, there was like almost no, you know, their supervisor, or the chief, or whatever the hell his name was, you know, he was just like, you know, I support our guys, you know, in making the right decision in a split second. It's like, they killed somebody. You do realize that, right? Someone's dead because they shot them.
Right. And you had a few minutes of activity before this went down. You should have stopped like 4 minutes earlier and just let the guy, you know, go and get him later for doing whatever, if he actually did anything. And in this case, the father called in a stolen vehicle for a vehicle that was not stolen.
Dipshit.
Well, at least they're not charging him with filing a false report.
Yet.
I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yet. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, everybody's like, well, when you call the cops for this and that and this and that, it's like, well, this is why you don't call the cops, because this is the outcome that is high on the likelihood. It's not like these are isolated incidents. When you hear it every week, it's not isolated at that point. And what you, Scott, mentioned before the show, that a statistic had recently come out that police have killed more than 5,000 people in the United States since 9/11.
Yep. Why doesn't anybody give a shit? Where's all the flags? Where's all the cheering and the bombs?
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
That's more than what died in 9/11, correct?
That died where?
In 9/11? Wasn't it only like 3,000 something in 9/11?
Yeah, and that's actually more people than have died in Iraq and Afghanistan, I believe, as well, since 9/11.
Yeah, on our own land. I was reading about, and it was talking about how they don't talk about how many troops have been killed or wounded anymore. They don't give a number because it's, you know, so many million, like 2 million or something like that.
Right.
Because then people start to think like, why are we still over there doing this shit when, you know, this whole thing was based upon, you know, one event. But now we've, you know, killed millions of people and had millions of our people killed. Whatever the hell it is, it's like, they don't talk about that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a friggin' waste of money, all of this.
Yeah, first rule Fight Club.
Pretty much. I mean, even when you see, like, law enforcement outfits talking about police who have died, like, they list so many who died in car accidents, it's like, I don't think that really counts as an on-duty death when you died in a car accident.
Especially when you were the one speeding, because you're a dickhead.
Exactly.
That's, you know, most people killed by police gunfire is actually police, self-inflicted.
Yeah, well,
something
you never
to
know.
think about.
Yep. So that's all we have for this week. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern at fprnradio.com. And until next week, remember that badges don't grant extra rights.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.